One of the more captivating qualities of certain inks is what's called sheen, when there's a shiny look to the ink when it's dried on the paper, often of a contrasting color to that of the ink itself. Now, not all inks have this ability, and manufacturers rarely advertise when their inks do sheen. So if you like sheen, you end up having to either kind of hunt around for some sheeners or watch some YouTube video where perhaps the founder of an online fountain pen retailer has curated some of the most notable sheening inks from his store and, I don't know, maybe compiled them into a single video, where he's going to use each of them and rank which ones sheen the most. Wait a minute! That's exactly what's happening here. Now, before I break out all of these inks, let me just very briefly explain what sheen is and why it happens. Now, if you want to skip all the nerdy science stuff explaining why sheen happens, you know, to kind of just get to the pretty inks and all that, I'm not going to be offended. You got that. We got timestamps in here for a reason. All right, so what is sheen? When there's a shiny, often metallic looking layer on top of the ink when it's dried on the page. It's particularly pronounced in certain angles of light and often showing in colors that contrast with the base ink color. Specific properties of the ink dyes that are a bit outside of my understanding contribute to the phenomenon of sheen. Sheen is most pronounced when you're using paper that has a lot of ink resistance to it, really smooth, really slick paper. Now this creates more of a layer of ink on top of the paper surface as opposed to like really soaking in. And then when light hits this layer at particular angles, that's when the sheen is going to be most pronounced. Now the process at work here is called thin film interference. And it's a similar principle at work as when you see an iridescent looking puddle on a paved road. The dried ink on the surface of the paper is both reflecting and refracting light. And the light rays that interact in these two different ways are actually bumping into each other. And when that interference of the different light rays makes it to your eyeballs, it appears as sheen. Isn't that crazy? Now, I wish I could tell you the specific properties that make certain ink colors sheen more than others. That's a bit outside of my understanding at the moment. I am no scientist, I'm no chemist, but I know what I can see with my eyes. And so I thought it'd be fun to make, a video with some of the inks that we have at Goulet pens that are the most notable for having a heavy sheen. Rachel and I went through our inks. We tried to get a variety of brands and colors that have some heavy sheen, and we came up with a list of the 12 that you see here. Now, honestly, these are all bangers, and I have no idea how I'm gonna rank all these. So you're kind of along for the ride as I go through this and do the relatively unscripted. So it'll be fun. And then at the very end, I'm gonna kind of stack rank everything and then maybe have superlatives or something. I don't know. We're gonna see what happens. All right, so let's talk materials. What am I gonna use? So I have some white Tomoe River paper. This is the 52 gram stuff. It's pretty thin. It's the stuff that is gonna show sheen pretty much more than any other paper. So that's why I'm using it. It's a little bit flimsy, but it's gonna work great for showing off the sheen. So that's what I'm gonna use there. For the actual writing and kind of swabbing, I've got a Rohrer & Klingner glass dip pen that I'm gonna write out the words. And then I have a Kakimori stainless steel dip pen that you can lay it down and really get like a broad swath. So that's how I'm gonna do, do some of that. So so I'm gonna lay it on really thick, try and get a good sheen. And I'll just take it one ink at a time. I'm gonna kind of rank as I go, but with sheen, sometimes it has to more fully dry before it really comes out. So I'll kind of initially just kind of stack it up, but really give the final ranking once I've done everything. So first ink that I've got, this is, I want to come strong out of the gate. I'm gonna put my bias out there completely. This is one of my favorite inks of all time. It's Jacques Herbin 1670 Emerald of Chivor. Now, this one does have some shimmer in it. You can see the shimmer kind of in the bottom of the bottle there. So there's gonna be that element to it as well. I'm gonna try not to let the shimmer weigh too much into this because it's really about sheen, but this ink has a strong sheen too. So I'm gonna put this one in here. And I wanna do this one first, that way I can just kind of get it out of the way. And I save some of the more really, really heavy sheeners kind of towards the end of the video. So we're gonna see how it goes. Open it up. All right. All right, there we go. So it goes on. It's pretty heavy. This glass pen is laying it on pretty thick, but honestly, that's not a bad thing for the purposes of what we're doing here. It's gonna show off the sheen really nicely. It's part of why I picked it. All right, now let's do the Kakimori. So this is really gonna put some heavy ink down, and we're just gonna kind of go, really lay the stuff on there. Yeah. Now, because the paper is so thin, it's going to crinkle it up a little bit, and that's okay. You know, the way this pen works, it's got these flutes on here, so it still works by capillary action, but it allows it to flow down. And the sheen's really not going to show right now because the ink is so wet, and I put a ton down there. But I know as it dries, you're going to get some of the red sheen that's going to come out. You're going to get some gold shimmer. It's going to look amazing because I've used this ink more than any of these other inks, and I know it's going to look great. All right, so, you know, even just doing the first swab, I can tell I'm gonna have to wait a little bit in between each one because the sheen's really not gonna show up, especially as heavy as I'm putting it on here. So I'm gonna set each one aside for a little bit, do a little editing magic, and then talk a little bit about it and do some of the ranking stuff. But really don't even take the ranking too seriously until I get to the end, because once they're fully dry, then we'll know actually what's going on.
A few minutes later.
All right, so we've let this dry for, you know, a couple minutes here. It's gonna take a little bit of time on this paper. I can already see the red sheen starting to come out pretty strong. It's really cool, like when I did the glass pen, I've got some red kind of coming out on the edges. That looks really rad. I love this color. It's a dark teal, so it's a really good base for a sheen to really pop. So I can tell that it's gonna be good, but it's still drying, so I'm gonna set this aside. This is my number one so far, because it's the only one I've done. But yeah, let's do some other ones. Diamine Polar Glow. All right, this one, the bottle is so cool, right? Like Diamine has a lot of different bottles, but this one's really neat. This was one of their ink vent inks that they brought back into a full, you know, offering, regular offering. But it's a nice deep blue with red sheen. I'm excited to show you all this one. There you go, that's the glass pen. I can tell this one's gonna take a while to dry too. All right, let's get this nice and inky. Ooh, that is a nice deep blue. You know, Emerald of Chivor is more of a teal. This one is more of a, you know, this is the kind of blue I really like. It's a nice dark color. Make sure we get plenty of ink down there so it sheens like crazy. Okay. Not flowing quite as wet as the Emerald of Chivor did, but that'll get the job done. Get a little bit more. There we go. So we'll let this dry for a minute, and then we'll see what it looks like. All right, so it's still drying, but boy, is that red coming out strong. The red sheen is coming out more prominent than Emerald of Chivor. I think that you know, part of that might just be the blue ink, like maybe it's contrasting a little bit more. I have a feeling, though, that this one is going to be a stronger sheener, so I'm going to move this to number one for right now. But I also know we got some really heavy dark blue sheeners coming down the pike, so Polar Glow may not have its spot for very long. Colorverse Quasar. All right, this one is going to probably compete more directly with Polar Glow because I know this is a dark blue. I think it's even darker than Polar Glow. We're going to find out, though. I think it leans like a little more purple. It goes on very wet. Oh, I hate doing uppercase Qs. I'm just going to do a regular Q. There we go. All right, Kakamori, let's hit it up. Ooh, oh, that looks good. That is a deep blue. A little more of a purple tone to it than Polar Glow had. But let's see what it looks like. Goes on quite wet. Oh, this will be interesting. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to do compared to Polar Glow. We'll see. I have a feeling it's going to sheen heavier than Emerald of Chivor. I'm realizing Emerald of Chivor, the sheen is not an absolute monster like some of these other ones. Really great ink, but you know, I think it's going to get a run for its money with some of these other colors. So we'll let that sit for a minute and see what it looks like. Okay, so Quasar is taking its sweet, sweet time to dry. I mean, I know the sheen is coming. I'm not seeing a whole ton of it yet. It like is poking out right now. I'm sure this is going to move, but I'm going to put this behind Emerald of Chivor for right now, just because as it's drying, it hasn't shown up yet, but that may very well change. So right now it's slot number 3. Endless Alchemy Candy Sea. All right, this bottle's fun. Keeps us guessing what's going on here. It's meant to do that. It's okay. Comes with a little cork base that you can put it on, but I don't know. I just want to see if I can keep you all on the edge of your seats. Another blue, not a shocker. I think we're gonna have a lot of blues. Something about blues, like in these dark blues, it just is more conducive to sheening. Okay, All right, that is a dark blue. You might be noticing a theme. Really dark blues tend to sheen really well. Okay, it's not as dark. It's not as like purple as Quasar. Even as Polar Glow, this is more of like a turquoisey kind of blue, actually, which I'm kind of digging, to be honest with you. We're going to let that sit aside for a minute and come back to it. I will cap this, though, because it's freaking me out a little bit to have it just sitting open. All right, so this is sat for a minute. Oh, boy, I can tell this one's going to sheen a lot. And I really like how much it, like the color variation, like where I didn't put it on as heavy, you get a much lighter blue. Ooh, I'm into that. I think this is going to be a really good one. Oh, I don't know if it trumps Polar Glow. I'm going to put this as number 2 for right now because I don't know how much of that sheen is going to pop out, and Polar Glow is really coming on strong. So I'm going to shift this down. Boy, these are hard to move, sorry. Okay, there we go. Candy C goes in as number 2. We'll see where it lands in the final lineup. LAMY Crystal Azurite. All right, so LAMY's got a couple different lines. They've got, their normal looking bottle. This is part of their Crystal series. I'm going to be straight up with you. I've used this ink a bunch. It's like a dark purple with a heavy green sheen. So I know this one is going to be one to beat. Look at that. You can see it just exploding even on the cap. This one's going to be a contender, I will say. And it's going to be hard because this sheen is going to be very different than the other ones. So I don't know how I'm going to rank them. This is going to be so difficult. All right, LAMY. Crystal Azurite. Ooh, so dark and mysterious. Yeah, deep, deep purple. I like it. I like it. We try to pick, some different colors because we could just make this entire video about dark blues with sheen. But, we got a purple in here, so I'm glad to get to mix it up somewhat. All right. I'm going to see how long it takes, but I know what we got coming here. So let's set that aside and see what we're in for. All right. Crystal Azurite. It's still very, very wet, but at the edges where it's starting to dry, you're seeing that bright green coming out there. Now, keep in mind, too, the lighting makes a big difference. We got like studio lighting here, and then depending on the angle you're looking at it, the sheen can change quite a bit. So I'll try and show you some shots of it, like actually in the light once it completely dries. But boy, I can tell this thing is going to be an absolute beast. So for sure, these got to move down. This definitely beats Emerald of Chivor. It's hard to tell with Candy C because that still hasn't dried yet. Boy, that's going to be tough. I can tell that's got a lot of sheen on it as well. Oh man, this is tough. I think Polar Glow might get beat out by Candy C. I don't know if Azurite is going to beat it out, so we're going to let those dry a little bit more. Right now, Candy C is going to take the top seat. Azurite is close on its heels. Polar Glow's holding down the middle. All right, we got a bunch more to go, so we'll keep it moving along. Diamine Winter Spice. This is another wonderful ink coming out of their Ink Vent series, the crazy looking bottle. Now this one's got a little bit of shimmer in it too, so we're gonna see how much of a factor that one ends up being. Emerald of Chivor was not a factor at all because it's very light shimmer on that color. And it really doesn't, it's a gold shimmer. It doesn't compete with the red sheen at all. This one though, I don't know, we're gonna see. Winter Spice is kind of like a brown color and it's got some like kind of, pinkish bluish kind of sheen, or shimmer at least. I don't know. We're going to see. I got to shake it up a little bit because the shimmer is settled in there quite nicely. This is a really, really balanced color. I'm very curious to see because there's a lot of different colors going on in this one. So I really don't know where this one's going to land. I don't know if I left enough humps in there for the M. No, I'm pretty sure I didn't. We got 1, 2, 3, then an I, then an E. No, I missed one. I'm notorious for doing that with Diamine especially. I lose track of how many humps and bumps and little things are supposed to be. A very interesting color. I mean, it's a dark brown, but it's got, immediately I can already see some like kind of green in there. It's interesting because I don't really see what I thought was like a purpley blue kind of shimmer in there. I'm really not seeing any of that yet. Maybe it'll come out more when it's dry, or maybe it just was an optical illusion. And because it looks like more of a green hint to it. So I don't know, we'll see. I'm very curious. So we'll let that sit for a minute. All right, Winter Spice. What do we got here? Still very much drying. But yeah, it does have kind of a little greenish kind of thing. It's really hard for me to tell if that is sheen or shimmer. I think I can definitely see some sheen. It's more on the green range, kind of like azurite over here, which is now coming out strong now that it's drying more. I don't know. I think I'm gonna actually have to put this one at the end because I'm just not seeing it very strong yet. But that may very well change in a few minutes. So that's the front 6. Time for the back 6. Let's do it. Wearingeul, Valley of Fear. All right. The Wearingeul here. First Wearingeul in the lineup and last Wearingeul in the lineup. Now they have a bunch of inks that are good sheeners, but this is one that is kind of known for doing it more. So that's why it made the cut. I hope I spelled that right. Valley of Fear. I really love this shade of blue. So just getting to swab this many blues is really bringing joy to my heart. So thank you for watching this and letting me do this because I'm really having fun. Ooh. Oh, yes. Oh, I like this blue. I like this a lot. Yes, please. Please, sir, may I have some more? All right. There we go. Nice strong blue. We're going to see what comes out. I'm guessing it's, maybe, shocking, probably a red sheen, if I had to guess. But we'll see. We'll let that sit for a minute and find out. All right, Valley of Fear. Oh, I can see. It's still very wet, but I can see that red is just like, it's like coming in from the edges, and it's just like going to take over. I think Valley of Fear is going to be very strong. And I got to say, Winter Spice is starting to become an absolute sheening monster. It's definitely going to beat out Quasar. In fact, Quasar might, I'm going to put this like, I don't want to keep sliding it down. I'm going to put it like here because I think it's not going to end up that high in the lineup. And Emerald of Chivor, hate to do it to you, but you're not going to end up on the top row either. I think Valley of Fear is going to be real strong. I'm going to put it right here for now because it is not, well, actually Winter Spice, I'm going to move up because it's got to come on a little stronger. Does it beat out Polar Glow? Boy, I don't know. Not at the moment because it's still drying. So I think this is how I'm going to do it. But I have a feeling these are going to move on around. Okay, there we go. That's it for now. That's 7 inks. Robert Oster, River of Fire. First and only Robert Oster in the lineup. Now, Robert Oster has a lot of good sheeners too. This was a tough one to pick. They have a lot of good sheeners that also have shimmer in it, just like Winter Spice, just like Emerald of Chivor. River of Fire is a very popular, kind of a green teal sheener that does not have any shimmer in it. So it's a pure sheen. Oh boy, that's wet. Oster, River of Fire. Okay. It barely even looks green. It's going on so dark. It's like almost looks black. Oh yeah, look at that. Ooh, I like this. It's a different kind of color than everything else that we've put out so far. All right, so we'll set that aside and see what comes up. All right, River of Fire. Not a lot yet. I know it's coming. I'm going to put it in front of Emerald of Chivor. I don't know if it's going to beat out Valley of Fear. We'll find out. We're really going to have to see, but you know, that works for me for right now. We'll leave that for now and we'll do the next one. Organics Studio, Henry David Thoreau, Walden Pond. So I think this one wins for the longest ink name. And the bottle is nothing special. The label is nothing special. But I tell you what, I got 3 Organic Studios in here because they are the ones to beat when it comes to sheen. So I'm going to build up to nitrogen. It's coming. I'm just telling you it's coming because you know, if you like sheen, you know that ink. This is like a darker kind of a teal color, not as much of a blue. So this is going to be more comparable to River of Fire, Emerald of Chivor. Oh my gosh, I got to write out this whole name. Okay.
6.5 hours later.
Walden Pond. Oh my gosh. Am I going to have room to swab it? Oh my gosh. Walden Pond. Wow. All right. So it's going down. It's definitely, I can tell it's more of a green. Dark green. Like a forest greenish kind of a teal. Oh boy, this is super wet. I can tell. I can already see like kind of a reddish hue to it in the wet ink that is on the thing. Not even where it's dried. I can already see the red. I know that this is going to be a beast. So we'll let that sit aside and see how it stacks up. So after a couple of minutes here, this is still super duper duper wet. I can see at the very edges that there is some actual ink color that's showing through there, but the whole thing is just like kind of glowing red in the light. It may be kind of hard to see from that angle overhead, but as I turn it, yeah, you can just see that like that redness right there. I think this thing is going to be just a absolute wall of sheen that comes out. So what I'm going to do, rather than shift everything over, I'm going to shift my mat over and I'm going to put this at the top because I have a feeling that's where it's going to end up. But honestly, I'm going to have to make room for others because I know the next two are going to be beasts as well. So let's get to those. Organic Studio, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Twilight Blue. All right, well, I thought Walden Pond had the longest name. Maybe this one does too. I don't know. I didn't count the characters, but they're both pretty long. I don't know if I feel like writing out the whole name. So would it be cool if I did some abbreves? Let's totes do some abbreves here. All right, so it's going to be, oh boy, it's like pretty wet. All right. Organic Studio, Ralph Waldo Emerson, Twilight Blue. Blue. Nope, that's a D. Let's go with a B. It's a weird looking B, but we're going with it. Oh, this is going to be a beast as well. I have a feeling the Organic Studios are just going to dominate everything. I was trying to stack it up a bunch against a bunch of other things that might give it a run for its money, but I don't know that that's going to happen. All right, so this one really is not gushing off the Kakamori quite as much as the others. I don't know if I'm just doing something weird with it, but there we go. We'll get plenty of it down. So this is a darker, well, like a Twilight Blue. Yeah, so we'll see. I don't know. Maybe the darker color is going to give a contrast and make the sheen come out more. So let's let that dry a bit and come back to it. Hard for me to tell because this one's not doing the same thing that the Thoreau was doing, which is, you know, the whole thing looked sheeny as it was wet, but every little bit of that this is dried is now like glowing a bright red. So I think this is going to end up really, really strong too. It's hard to say where it's going to land with these other blues. I think Valley of Fear at this point needs to move up because this one is really, it's like mostly sheen with a little bit of blue in there. Winter Spice too, gotta say, that has really come around as well. Azurite is like the biggest contrast, but I think in terms of volume of sheen, it's not as high as these others. So I think, boy, Polar Glow is tough. Polar Glow and Candy Sea are like really competing with each other. Valley of Fear, I think, is gonna top Candy Sea. I'm moving some things around. Hang on. We're getting somewhere. Twilight Blue, I don't know where it's gonna land. I have a feeling it's gonna be really strong up here, but we're gonna need like 20 minutes for it to dry. And then Winter Spice. Boy, this is tough. Oh, does Valley of Fear beat out Polar Glow? Do either of us beat out Winter Spice? Gosh. This is tricky. These are pretty even, honestly, I think. These could really kind of go either way. I'm going to go Valley of Fear, I think. Winter Spice. I feel like that's got more sheen. Hard to tell if any of that's shimmer, though. All right, I'm going to put that there. I'm just going to kind of go with my gut. Okay, there. Oh, I hate to move Crystal Azurite to the second row, but this is what I'm feeling at the moment. We're going to see how these two turn out. Organic Studio Nitrogen. Now, this ink is rather notorious for not only being a monster sheener, but for getting on everything and for basically never drying. So I try to warn people as much as I can about this ink that, like, yeah, this ink is high maintenance. It gets all over everything. The sheen like gets on your feet and never goes away. You shouldn't use this ink, but it is so spectacular looking. People just can't help themselves. And I get it. I get why. So we're going to find out here right now, live recorded, I guess. So let's check it out. Nitrogen. This is, of course, a beautiful blue. with a strong red sheen. This is going down very wet. Nitrogen. Boom. Swab this up here. Yep, going down pretty wet. That's a nice blue color. Gotta say, it's not hurting it in my eyes. Let's see if this is really the GOAT after we compare it to all these other ones. We'll give it a minute and come back. All right, so this is still drying. I'm looking now at the other two organic studios. Yep, pretty much just a wall of sheen happening there. Walden Pond. Oh my gosh, that is ridiculous. Okay, I don't know, because nitrogen hasn't fully dried yet. Let's pick this thing up and see how it's looking so far. Okay, I know what's coming though. I know when this thing dries, it's gonna be top 3. I know it is. Folks, I tried to come up with some other really good heavy sheening inks that were not Organic Studio, and they are all just not up to the task. So I have a feeling it's going to be 1, 2, 3 Organic Studio, but I'm gonna wait for them to fully dry. Just because I know nitrogen has such the reputation that it does, I have a feeling it's going to end up being number 1. Shocker. But we're going to see. We're going to give it a fair shake, let it completely dry. And, right? Did I? Oh, shoot. I missed one. You know what? We're going to come back to it. This one is not the last one. I have another bottle of ink right here that I totally missed. So that's going to be the last one. I was like, this isn't 12. This is weird. Why isn't it not like, okay. Anyway, we're gonna do another one. We have one more to go, actually. All right, I don't know what I just did, but we got another ink here. So this is LAMY Dark Lilac. All right, so this is the 2024 version of Dark Lilac, the new one, which I know is a big sheener, which is why it's on this list. I feel really silly. I'm gonna go with, I wanted to have it as a dark horse maybe, or, I needed more time for nitrogen to dry, so I saved another one. No, literally I meant to do this and just totally forgot that I put it right in front of me. So let's go ahead and swab this one up, shall we? Now this is gonna be a dark purple, if you couldn't tell from the cap or if you haven't heard it. I know a lot of y'all have this ink because this was our #1 selling ink last year. Normally nitrogen is our #1 ink, but Dark Lilac had a lot of excitement around it when it came back last year. And it is also a big sheener. It's more of like a greenish sheener, greenish gold, kind of like azurite. So we're gonna see. So this is LAMY. Ooh, this is wet. That's a good sign. Dark Lilac. Boom. I'll put on here 2024, just so nobody's confused. Nice deep purple. Boy, that hangs out nicely in the Kakamori. It just comes out easily. One of the easier ones to swab. All right, I'll clean out the pens and then we'll see where this one stacks up. All right, Dark Lilac. Boy, that looks really cool because it's got a green sheen to it, like the azurite and kind of like Winter Spice, but it hasn't dried fully yet. So it's just like this deep, dark ink with this bright green around the edges. It looks rad. I am gonna go ahead and just kind of put it preliminarily here behind Polar Glow and ahead of Candy C. But we're gonna let these fully dry, see how everything stacks up, and then I will do my final rankings.
A few inches later.
All right, so everything is mostly dry. I feel like we'd be here for days if we were waiting for nitrogen to fully dry, but it's close enough. I feel pretty good about it. So what I'm gonna do before I do my final movement and rankings is I got a couple superlatives that I thought of as I was kind of doing these up. The award for most likely to take home and be able to meet your mom is gonna be Robert Oster, River of Fire. Because I feel like that one is the most subdued and the most calm and acceptable. And to that end, it's also gonna end up being number 10 because compared to these other ones, I feel like it's barely even getting a participation award for sheening, if I gotta be totally honest with you. Quasar is not lighting my world on fire either. I'm a little disappointed by that one as well. So they're going to hold down the bottom. We're going to go for the award for most contrast. So the sheen that stands out the most from its base color for me has got to be azurite because it looks very drastic. The sheen color is wildly different and really looks, I mean, from all angles pretty much, you can tell the contrast between the dark purple and the green sheen. So that wins most contrast. I put most likely to get a face tattoo, meaning the opposite of whatever you could bring home to meet your mom. That one I think I'm gonna have to go with nitrogen, because not only is it a in-your-face heavy sheener, but we know that this thing just does not behave. So that's gonna get the face tattoo award. And then I got one more. This is the sleeper, or the another way to say it is like the pool hall hustler award. The one that maybe you wouldn't expect would have a ton of sheen, but it absolutely does. For me, that's gonna be dark lilac. Because it looks like a nice purple, but then when you lay it on thick like this, I can't even see the base color anymore. It's all sheen pretty much. So that one's pretty drastic. Not as much expected, especially because the original color did not have this much sheen. So that one's pretty wild. So, all right, those are my superlatives. The one award that I'm gonna have is just most. You know, the superlative for just most is the one that's gonna end up number one. So I'm gonna talk through them all. I feel pretty good about the ones at the bottom because I think it's pretty clear which of those, you know, are kind of bringing the game like the weakest. River of Fire, Colorverse Quasar, as much as I hate to say it, Emerald of Chivor. I love Emerald of Chivor, but it's just not the most sheening, right? Crystal Azurite, I think, is in a good spot. I think it belongs there at number, whatever that is, number 9. Endless Alchemy, actually, I think is in a pretty good spot too. It does have a heavy sheen, but there's a lot of that blue that's kind of still showing up. And because it's a lighter blue, you know, I think that makes the sheen, I don't know, it doesn't have it quite as intense. Now this is tough. Dark Lilac has really come to bat here. I think this has to probably move up. How does it compare? I feel like Polar Glow and Valley of Fear are nearly identical. I mean, they're basically like one and the same. I don't know, it just looks like I see a little more of the red on the Valley of Fear. So I'm gonna leave them. It really could be like a 1 and 2, like kind of match like that. I think I have to move Dark Lilac up because that is stronger than these. So I'm gonna put Polar Glow. I hate to split the line here because they really could be right next to each other. Okay, I feel good about these. Dark Lilac next to Winter Spice. I don't know, y'all. What do you think? I think Winter Spice has got to go down. Dark Lilac is Dark Horse. Okay. Now, top 3. Should any of these move down? Let's start here with Twilight Blue. Boy, this is so hard to compare. This sheen is just so intense. Okay, so I'm looking at the writing as well as the swab. It's so hard to compare because you're getting different colors. I honestly, in terms of intensity, I think Dark Lilac's gonna beat Twilight Blue. I really do. So it's not gonna be 1, 2, 3 for Organic Studio. All right, Dark Lilac next to Walden Pond. Walden Pond looks ridiculous. It doesn't even look like an ink. It looks like metal. That's ridiculous. It definitely beats out Dark Lilac. Okay, so here we go. Walden Pond versus Nitrogen. Now, there's a little bit of nitrogen here that hasn't dried, and it's a monster sheener. I mean, look at that. It's so ridiculous. I'm looking at the writing as well. It almost looks kind of comparable in the writing. So I'm gonna go with my gut. I think Walden Pond beats out Nitrogen. I don't know. I know Nitrogen has the reputation it has. I think the base color of Nitrogen is nicer, you know, but I think Walden Pond has the most sheen that is chemically possible in an ink, and it just jumps out so much. So that's it. Walden Pond. I'm ranking it most. I can't believe it. I thought Nitrogen would be number 1, and it's really close, but I think Walden Pond beats it out. So there you go. Here's my ranking of the 12 most sheening inks. Now, there's a lot of other sheening inks that we have at Goulet Pens. You're going to be mad at me because we don't have a of filtering for Sheening ink on our website, but you have this video now, so you can see like which ones are the most intense, right? This was a lot of fun. Please come at me in the comments. Let me know what you think. For sure, I have some controversial stuff in here, but you're seeing it with your eyes too. You tell me what you think. That's what I got for you. Walden Pond #1. You can check out all these inks and plenty of others over at gouletpens.com. Let me know what other style of video like this that you would like to see. What other kind of inks should I kind of stack rank as well? I've done several already and I would love to do more. So let me know what you think there. Thank you so much for watching and right on.